History rarely begins with war. It begins quietly, in villages where children speak the same language, in churches where families pray side by side, in markets where culture flows without borders. For centuries, the people who now call themselves Ethiopian and Eritrean lived as one civilization. One faith, one trade network, one shared destiny. And yet today, these two nations carry one of Africa's most painful political divides. A divide that killed hundreds of thousands, separated families for generations, and now threatens to erupt again. Because today, tensions between Ethiopia and Eritrea are rising once more. Military fears are growing, political accusations are spreading, and millions are wondering, is peace in the Horn of Africa only temporary? To understand what is happening today, we must travel back thousands of years before borders existed. Long before Ethiopia and Eritrea existed as nations, the Horn of Africa was dominated by one of the ancient world's greatest powers, the Kingdom of Aksum. From the 1st to the 7th century, Aksum stood alongside Rome and Persia as a global empire. Its influence stretched across lands that today belong to both Ethiopia and Eritrea. The port city of Adulis, located in modern Eritrea, connected Africa to the Mediterranean and Asia. Through this port, gold traveled north, ivory crossed oceans, and Christianity entered the region centuries before it spread across Europe. Religion unified communities. The Giz language shaped culture and identity. Trade connected highlands and coastal cities. For hundreds of years, the people of this region lived without national borders dividing them. But empires fall, and when Aksum declined, unity slowly faded into regional kingdoms. Still, cultural connections remained strong for over 1,000 years, until Europe arrived. In the late 1800s, European empires began dividing Africa during the scramble for territory. Italy, a young nation seeking global power, targeted the Red Sea coast. By 1890, Italy officially created the colony of Eritrea. For the first time in history, Eritrea existed as a separate political entity. Italy built infrastructures, railways, modern cities, ports, industry. Asmara became one of Africa's most modern cities. Meanwhile, Ethiopia remained fiercely independent. In 1896, Ethiopia defeated Italy at the Battle of Adwa, one of the most powerful anti-colonial victories ever recorded. But while Ethiopia preserved its sovereignty, Eritrea remained under colonial rule, and over time, two different political identities began to form. In 1935, fascist Italy invaded Ethiopia and created Italianist Africa. Eritreans and Ethiopians served together under occupation. But when Italy collapsed during World War II, Eritrea's future became uncertain. Should Eritrea become independent, join Ethiopia, or remain under foreign rule? After years of debate, the United Nations created a compromise. In 1952, Eritrea was federated with Ethiopia. Eritrea kept its parliament, flag, constitution, cultural autonomy, but tensions grew quickly. Ethiopian imperial leadership believed national unity required centralized authority. Gradually, Eritrean autonomy disappeared. In 1962, Emperor Haile Selassie annexed Eritrea completely. To Ethiopia, it was reunification. To many Eritreans, it was occupation, and rebellion began. In 1961, Eritrean fighters launched an armed struggle. The conflict became one of Africa's longest wars. The war survived imperial rule, military dictatorship, Cold War politics. But Eritrean fighters adapted through guerrilla warfare and civilian resistance network. Women played major roles in the revolution. By the late 1980s, Ethiopia faced economic collapse and internal rebellion. In 1991, Eritrean forces captured Asmara. In 1993, Eritrea held referendum. Over 99% voted for independence. Celebrations filled both countries, but peace was fragile. At first, Ethiopia and Eritrea maintained strong cooperation. Borders were open, trade was growing, hope was alive. Then came Badame, a small border town sparked a massive war. Between 1998 and the 2000s, trench warfare returned to Africa. Hundreds of thousands died. Two nations with shared history destroyed each other. Though a ceasefire ended the war, hatred and mistrust remained. For nearly 2 decades, borders were closed, diplomacy froze, families were separated. Eritrea became one of the world's most isolated states. Ethiopia lost direct sea access and faced economic pressure. The people of both nations suffered silently until 2018. In 2018, Ethiopia announced peace with Eritrea. Flights resumed, borders reopened, families reunited. The world celebrated. The agreement earned global praise. But peace in the Horn of Africa is rarely simple, because soon, a new war would taste the alliance. In 2020, Ethiopia entered a devastating civil war with the Tigray People's Liberation Front. Eritrea joined Ethiopia in fighting Tigray forces. The conflict caused massive humanitarian disaster, displacement, and famine. When the war ended in 2022, Eritrea felt excluded from peace negotiations, and tensions quietly resurfaced. Today, fears of renewed conflict are growing. Clashes have already been reported in northern Ethiopia. Both governments have accused each other of supporting armed groups and interfering in regional conflicts. Military activity and political hostility have raised alarm among experts. The region feels unstable again, but behind this tension lies something deeper. Ethiopia is the world's largest landlocked nation. Most of its trade passes through Djibouti. Ethiopian leadership has expressed strong interest in gaining direct Red Sea access. Eritrean ports like Assab hold massive strategic and economic importance. But for Eritrea, these ports represent sovereignty and independence earned through decades of sacrifice. This disagreement has become one of the most dangerous geopolitical flashpoints in Africa. The situation is further complicated by regional alliances and international interests. Neighboring countries watch carefully. Diplomatic partnerships are shifting, and the Horn of Africa remains one of the world's most strategic important regions. Behind every border dispute, there are families waiting for peace. Civilians fear food shortage, displacement, and economic collapse if conflict returns. Entire generations have grown up knowing only war and tension. The people of both nations shared history, blood, and culture, and they often pay the highest price. Are Ethiopia and Eritrea still enemies, or brothers struggling to heal? Their past is shared. Their future is connected. History divided them. Only leadership, diplomacy, and memory can decide what happens next. If this story opened your eyes, like this video to support deep African history documentaries. Comment below, do you believe lasting peace between Ethiopia and Eritrea is possible? Subscribe to Past Unlocked for more hidden historical stories, because Africa's history deserves to be told with truth, depth, and respect. History never truly ends, it waits. And the future belongs to those brave enough to learn from it.